One of the presentations I am looking forward to most at the upcoming Vegas event for One Rental at a Time is Rent by Room, aka co-living. This is an area I have some concerns in, I will admit, but I also know it's a way that if you do it right, you can really maximize your return. We have somebody in our community who's been doing this for quite a while now and posting the results inside school. Jared, man, how you doing? Thank you for being here.
Good. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I know your story, but let's assume that not everybody does. So, Jared, give us the kind of who you are, what you do, and we'll get into it from there.
All right, I'm Jared. I do co-living or rent by room, shared housing, whatever you want to call it. I bought my first house in late 2023 and had it operational by January 2024. So, ran it for about 3 months, and I found like it was pretty successful. So I decided to go ahead and do another one. And at that time, I've been writing a whole bunch of disrespectful offers, and we had two on the hook at the same time, and ended up picking up two more at the exact same time. So that was three, and that was pretty successful. And we wanted to run for a while and to see how that went, and then we picked up our fourth one. The fourth one, though, we pivoted a little bit, and I can get into that if you want. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're four properties, 32 rooms, eight bedrooms each. So.
Yeah, and again, one thing you didn't share there, but I know is you live in one market, but you're doing
Oh,
co-living in an entirely different market. So you're doing co-living remote.
yeah, that's a fun one. So I took a year off from work, went down there and lived there because I bought the first one as a primary and you have to live in it for a year. So I did that and rented it out. But I also was down there building my team. So I went through, I don't know, countless, service providers. Like I went through, I think, four cleaning ladies, finally have cleaning services. And I just happened they were all ladies and found the one that I liked. Been with her for 2 years now. She's great. And then built my handyman crew and my contractors, electricians, plumbers, and all that kind of stuff. So I've got my primary, secondary, and tertiary. And actually, for my HVAC in Arizona, it's very important. I have four AC guys. I have Raul's my
Smart.
number one guy. And then I've got a company for the second one. So if Raul's ever busy, I go to a company that has multiple service. Arizona, you got to have AC people, man.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, one of the things I think we should talk about here, again, you've been doing this a while now, is kind of your buy box, right? You talked about
Mm.
all of these are 8 bedrooms, but there's no 8 bedrooms on the MLS. So talk about
No,
what your buy box is.
my buy box is 2,000 square feet or better, no HOA, no pool, 2.5 bath or better, and parking. I got to have parking for at least 5 cars, even though there's eight. But that's an extra. Usually, about 50% of the people have cars, the other half don't. At least in my experience. So that's my buy box. That's a buy box for conventional because I have to be able to service the debt. But if I
Mhm.
can ever get creative or sub two or something like that, then I don't need that big of a house. But I haven't been able to make any of those or find any of those that work yet. So.
All right. And also you talked about kind of your market as well, like ABC, right? I think there's a lot of people that look at this wanting getting the nicest house in the nicest neighborhood, but that's inviting challenges, I'm sure. So talk about kind of the quality or area of town you're looking at.
Yeah, this is tough. Well, so I'm in the Phoenix market, Phoenix Metro. So I've been kind of testing the last couple, while I went back to work. So I have a W-2 that gives me a buffer. So I started on the west side. If you know the Phoenix Valley area, the west side is a little cheaper, right? And the east side's more affluent and a little bit more expensive. So I've got three on the west side and then one on the east side. And so if you, and I have plenty of friends that have done this, you need, for this strategy, you do not want to be buying in an A or B plus or even B, really. You want to hit that C plus B minus non-HOA. Um, I countless times people try to do it, and man, the stories I hear are just, you get the Karens and the people complaining. I got one buddy of mine who bought in a pretty nice neighborhood, and two doors down, he had a real estate attorney. And he's been, yeah,
Whoops.
not good, man. And I got to say that I was joking around, and the guy was giving him a lot of pressure, and the city was coming after him. So he can only run five of the 8 rooms. He did an 8 bedroom, but he can only have five. So the other three are now offices for people that, he's making it work. But jokingly, I said, well, sober living is a protected class. You can just run sober living. That's what he's going to do now. And I'm like, oh man, that's going to be a war
Wow.
between that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, but because so let's talk about my concerns. And again, folks, remember this is for you. Lots of people are looking at this strategy. You have questions. You have an operator here. Somebody's doing it. Somebody who's in the community. So get your questions ready. Raise your hands. Put comments there. But if people listen to me and on other podcasts, I have said things like co-living is hot, right? And I've said things like this feels to me like Airbnb or VRBO or short-term rentals like 3 years ago. It was where I went to events as the boring one rental at a time guy, and then there was, there was a short-term rental person next to me, and they got all the press because it was the hottest thing. It feels to me like we're on the come up where co-living could get to that firestorm. And I don't know that we're there yet. We're probably really early still, but I've seen this movie before. And the reason I'm concerned about this is it's when the dumb money or the stupid money comes in. It's where they go to the A neighborhoods. It's where they go to HOA and they just invite problems because they're not doing the work, right? They're not trying to protect themselves, right? They're not doing things to code. They just see it as the easy button. And I want to make sure, Jared, that people understand this is not the easy button. It is a way, it does work. You have to operationalize it. You have to have a team. You can absolutely kill it like you are, but it's not the easy button. That's what scares me about this is anytime things get momentum, the idiots come off the sidelines and get hurt. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I thought about that. So first of all, co-living's been around a long time in Europe and all that, but also in the States, it's been for over 20 years, right? There's some hedge funds out there backing some big operators. You don't hear about them because they don't want to be heard of. But
Right.
I think it really gained popularity when Pad Split came along, right?
Mhm.
And so that kind of got mainstream. There was a couple other companies that tried to do it beforehand, and they tried to do everything and failed, whereas Pad Split just does a niche piece. But yeah, you talked about something there that I thought of ahead of time too, just like Airbnb. I personally think it's going to be around a long time. The economy's not getting better. I think these idiots are going to print more money, and inflation is going to go crazy, and people can't afford stuff. So I think it's going to be around a while. But just in case, I know a lot of people will buy a house in the right neighborhood, C plus, C, B minus, all that, and then they'll go to the garage because they need to make more room. I don't do that. It's twice the cost. You got code, you got all that stuff, and especially in Arizona, you got to do HVAC and it gets expensive, and I just didn't want to do that. But the other reason I didn't want to do that is I want to be able to pivot. All the debt, well, the latest house I bought won't cover it, but most of the debt I bought or have will service as a long-term rental, just in case something happens. And all I do is when I add the bedrooms, I just add walls. So worst case, I can just tear the long-term rental. Now that's not something I ever want to do, but it's just a backup plan if I
Sure.
absolutely had to. But I don't ever want to. I listened to Cody and a couple other people and the people that came before me and doing all these crazy things. How do you get property and never lose it? I think is what Cody says a lot.
Right.
And so I heard that, I can learn a lot. I listened to him when I was like, man, this kid's, what was he, 18 or 19? I'm like,
Yeah.
holy crap. I was like, I
Yeah.
have no excuses. And that's when, I started
Yeah.
listening and just going on
Yeah.
my own.
Cody is amazing. But yeah, this is the right way to do it. Again, I am all for it. It's why co-living, we're talking about today. It's a key part of our event. You can absolutely do it right. But I like having that plan B, that worst case scenario. As Romel says, this is something I've thought about as well in the comments. Says I'm just worried about the laws and regulations will hurt this asset class, and I'll even put a twist on that. It's new laws, right? We saw cities and locations attack short-term rentals, right? You got to register them, you have so many limits, all of those things. And again, I don't think we're there yet in the co-living space, but by 2028, 2030, right? We have some locations where they're prevalent. The cities could turn on you, right? I don't know that that's coming immediately, but it could happen.
They could, but here's the difference I see. Airbnbs, it's not a necessity. It brings money in, sure,
Yep.
but the municipalities need affordable housing, right? They actually want it. I mean, their voters are saying we can't live here. So in this space, it's more of you're kind of working with the cities in a lot of cases. I know there's one city in Phoenix, I won't say that, or in Phoenix Metro that has had some issues there, but that's mainly because the operators are just stupid.
Well,
Throwing
that's a
open
problem.
house.
That's a
Yeah,
problem though, because again, if you
yeah,
you get enough stupid operators, it could
yeah.
ruin it for everybody. You've
I
seen
mean,
this
this is
movie.
really stupid though. Like, I just, I can't see anybody else doing that kind of thing. It's just weird, but yeah, I think it's a different strategy. It's not Airbnb. It's not a nice to have. It's a need to have.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Got a question from Karen. It's actually funny you brought this up to your buddy about sober living. So Karen saw my interview with Stan Hopes, who's doing sober living, kind of a twist on this. But have you ever looked at sober living in
I,
any
I
seriousness?
I did, and it's another one of my back out plans because the house. The only difference would be I would have to take down one of the rooms and turn it into like a living room. So
Right.
there would be some costs incurred there too. And I did think about that, but the way I would do it is I wouldn't run it. I would just, arbitrage
You
or whatever you want to call it. I would
yeah,
have
you would
somebody
sign a
else run it.
contract and yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a 3-year
That's what they do.
contract. Yeah, and there's a couple of those companies out there that they've been up to the Supreme Court, and so it's a protected class, and so you can have all the neighbors and you go nuts on you, but it's a protected class, so you can kind of get away with it if you will. So that's
Yeah.
another back out plan. That'd probably be my back
I would
out, and
think.
then if that didn't work, I would have to go to long-term rental. But
I think running the numbers, worst case is a long-term rental is the ultimate safety net, right? I do
yeah,
think there's steps between co-living and LTR, long-term rental, and co-live and sober living or sober houses is one of those
yeah,
classes. Um, so let's talk about how do you run, what'd you say, 32 bedrooms or guests or whatever we call them
yeah.
from another state, man? How the heck do you do that?
I had to build a really good team. I mean, my handyman I go through every 8 months or so. They usually move on to a contractor, but you just got to keep that team evolving. Now, luckily, I've had the same cleaning lady since I started, and some of the same like my plumbers, Isaac. He's awesome. Also, my showing agent is also named Isaac, so that's fun. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, you just got to get a good team. And the way I did it was I just lived down there for a year and found the people that I needed. It's funny the way I found people. I was looking and calling and doing all this stuff, and none of them were working out. I found Isaac on the street. He was driving a truck and he had plumber on the back. And I
Called
actually
him.
got out of my car at a stoplight and said, "Hey man, can I get one of your cards?" So he
That's
thinks I'm a
funny.
nut job, which I probably am. And then my cleaning lady I found on accident too because I was buying a truck. And the guy I was buying the truck from, his wife was the cleaning lady. She's awesome too. Paola, she's fantastic. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, work, 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 do the work, right? You'll find it eventually. So,
Yeah, yeah. You just never stop networking, and you just never know where you're going to find those relationships and those folks that help you, which is
uh
pretty awesome. So why don't you talk about do this, but
oh.
kind of a typical month. Like, so let's talk about October, right? Vacancies, turnover, any gotchas. Like, tell us about October for a guy who has 32 units.
God, you would pick October, wouldn't you? I October for my pad. So I'll just back up. So I did pad split, the training wheels for co-living. The first three are with pad split. So they're the property manager, if you will. This is how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be they handle everything and then you handle the maintenance. But I'm here to tell you that's not the case at all. You're going to do most everything. They will find the members and they say they vet the members, but I turned
Hmm.
down about 40% of the pad split people. They
Really?
actually,
I
yeah,
would not have guessed that. Wow.
they just want, well, in the beginning it was about 10%, and it's getting bad. Like, they can't afford it and all that. But,
Yeah.
and different issues, because I interview everybody. Like, that's the thing is I talk to some other operators that just take whoever pad split gives them. And then
Wow.
they're like, oh man, I have all these problems and this and that. I'm like, well, did you talk to the people? And they're like, well, no, pad split does that. I'm like, it's your business, right?
Nah.
So I've turned
Whew.
down quite a
Yeah.
bit, and that number it started at 10 and then 20 and 30. Now it's like almost half because they're just trying to
Mm.
throw warm bodies in there. And I've got a lot of nasty grams from Pad Split, and they also changed their fee structure back in was it May of last year, and so that
Mhm.
really got me. And so that's why the fourth one I'm running on my own remotely.
Okay. And is
So
that in operation in October?
it's well, I got it online. What was it last about mid last September, first week in September, something like that.
All
So.
right. So it's really new.
It's really new. I've only got 4 of the 8 filled, but they're 1 year terms. Well,
Okay.
3 of them are 1 year. One of them's a 6 month with a month after that. So I'm running it
Now with
differently.
pad split, they're not year-long commitments. They're week to week
No,
or
no, they're like real quick. They're week to week. That
wow.
so they say they have a 12-week commitment, but they have a 12-week commitment to pad split, not you. So they can
Ooh,
transfer, right? So the reason that
interesting.
matters is they change their fee structure. And this is what I'm not doing pad split anymore, and eventually I'll probably peel those off if this works for me. That's why I haven't bought another house yet because I want to make sure this works. It's slow
Yeah.
going, but they 12-week commitment. They come online and then they pay every week, right? And so
Got it.
there's that's how they operate. So they can transfer around for free one time and all that, but
Mm.
you pay. Or they're charging now for every new member the 100% of the first 10 days plus 8%.
Wow. Plus
Yeah.
8%.
It's a hit. Let me tell you, I have 20 rooms full in my pad splits right now, but I think four of those are new. And October for pad splits, my worst month. And that's saying something because in 2024, I had a September, funny time. I had a guy, this is why vetting, it was a guy that came in and absolutely tanked one of the houses. He came in, he was loud, he was big old scary dude, and he would, he was
Yeah.
clean, and I made a mistake, and I knew I did. I know I did later, but anyway, he drove off four of the members, and then I had to get him to go. So I was down to three that month. So that was a bad month. The other
Mm,
two houses carried that one, but
sure.
this last October was the same income. I'm still profitable. I'm not complaining, but it's not been a great month.
Yeah, well, again, so that's the numbers, but talk about the headaches, right? Because that's the one of the things that when I look at co-living and kind of like STRs, it's similar. It's it almost feels like a service business, or at least a little bit, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, it can be a headache if you don't get the right people in there. That's why I'm going slow on this one myself, and so far it's great, but then again, we're new. But you really got to talk to the people and make sure you're putting people in there that aren't going to cause problems. That's key. Like for me, it's the property. You got to have the right property that works, which is why my buy box is so hard, and then the right people, right? I guess that's with everything.
Yeah.
But if you get those two in place, like I don't know, I may get four calls a month, five calls a month, something like that, which
Okay,
I
so
know it
not
sounds like
bad.
a lot to the
No, that's not
long-term
bad.
rental people out there.
32.
They're like,
Yeah.
what's that?
That's not bad. 32. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
lot better than I thought. 32 potentially. Here's the problem with this, right? It's the consumer, right? It's people. It's the big
Yeah.
burly guy. It's everybody has a bad day or, whatever. I would have guessed
Yeah.
more than 5 calls.
Well, in the beginning, it was like every other day, right? And so, this is how it went. I paying up front because when I first started, I wanted to see how what would happen.
Yeah.
So I used whatever PadSplit gave me. Nightmare. Don't do that. So I learned real quick. Thought I was doing better. Turned down about 10%. Did okay for a while. Ran into that guy again. Nightmare. Right? Okay, crap. So then
Right.
pain is a really good teacher, right? So then I started vetting the hell out of people. That's why I
Yeah.
turned down about damn near half the people. Is because the people they just filled out a thing and submitted a deal. They don't talk to them or even care. And
Right.
so it's getting people in there that are courteous, that clean up after themselves,
Mhm.
and just able to function around other people. Because you've got a private room, but you have shared
Right.
kitchens, you have shared bathrooms. So
Right.
one house I tried something too that's actually working out pretty good if you get the right ratio to men to women. I have a 4 to 4. I have a men's and a women's, and then a half bath that anybody could use. I mean, you can.
Got
So what I said was, let's try this, and you can, if that bathroom's full, then you can go to the other one, that kind of thing. But it's working out okay. People like it,
nice.
so we'll see.
All right. We got a question from Sissy. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Good morning. I'm excited about this asset class. Found a great house at the right price. I used pad split, but we are not in a pad split market. It's called emerging market. Now the problem is marketing. I see you are going back to physical flyers, Jared. How is that working? Any other marketing ideas?
I've tried a lot of them, and for me, my favorite is Turbo Tenant, and I owe Dion for this. Dion Talk Financial Freedom. I got to tell the story real quick, Zuber, because
Cool.
I got
Yeah.
on one of his live or his member meetings, and I think you were there, Mark, financial firefighter. So I get on there, I was like, "Hey, Dion, do you want to check out my ad? Because I'm not a marketing person. I'm using Turbo Tenant, and I really, really like it. I used it before. Like PadSplit will get your property up to 80%, and that other 20%. If there's other houses under 80%, they're going to focus on those first. So you have to
Right.
kind of do a little bit of marketing yourself too. So I get on there and I show Dion the ad, and he goes, "Oh, this is exactly what I would think a real estate investor would do." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he goes, "That wasn't a compliment." Total Dion, right? So he gave me some advice about, hey, the attractions around there, different things, and way to write it. So I did that, and man, like a week later, things started rolling in a lot better. So I don't know, I've had like 60 some people interested in the new property. So I'm learning, right? It's like I've got four in 1 year, so I don't think that's
Yeah.
bad. It takes me about 10 days to get one member, which is a long time, but you figure, you got a year lease, that's pretty good,
Right.
and you get the right people in there. I've got good people that get along and
Yeah.
and all
10
that kind of
days.
stuff.
10 days for a vacancy with a year-long commitment's not. It's not bad at all. It's
Yeah,
actually pretty good. Yeah. Because
yeah,
again, you can turn a room in an afternoon, right? The problem with the long-term rentals, it takes, a weekend best case, if not a week,
yeah.
to turn a house. You're turning a room in 2 hours probably.
Could if you want it. So I'm also doing something a little different. So I'm furnishing, like all the
Right.
pad splits are furnished. This house is furnished, But if people want to, like I got one guy that wants to have his own stuff there, which I encourage, right? Because
Yep.
that way, like if you listen to Sam Wiegert, he's been doing this for 20 years in North
Yep.
Carolina or South Carolina or something like that. He only does, he rents the room and you bring your own stuff. And he says that in this year lease for him. And the reason he does that is people want to stay longer, right? And it's their
Yeah, of
stuff.
course. It's Yep.
But the other thing too is if you think about it, if they want to move, like if you furnish everything, they can just move and leave everything. But if they have their
Yep.
own stuff there, they got to figure out how to move it. So they're like, I don't want to do that. I'll just stay. That kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah.
So I got one guy that wants to do that. So I'm all about it. Sure, man. So I'll
Yep.
take everything out and he can put his stuff in, and that's fine by me.
There you go. James has a comment slash question. Something to add. I'm driving at the moment because you still control the house. You can put in a lot more automation, temp doors, etc., and security cameras than a long-term rental.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I use the Sifely locks. Absolutely love them. Battery powered locks, and I can
sure.
control it from here. I use the what was it called? Wise cameras, WYZE. So they're cheap. They're like 35 or 39 bucks, and they're 360 pan tilt, and they follow and all that stuff. And now they put AI in there to be able to give descriptions, which really helps.
Mm,
Because if I think I've had 3 or 4 times where somebody said nothing bad, just somebody took a bowl,
mm,
and then somebody took somebody's 7 Up or something. Because I have two
right.
fridges, right? I've got 1 through 4, and then 5 through 8, and then some of the
Mm,
rooms are pretty big, so I put mini fridges in there. But just dumb stuff like that, like, hey, so and so took my bowl. It was a glass bowl.
right.
There were two looked the same, so I just go to the camera and and say, oh, hey, so and so, hey, you took the wrong bowl. No big deal. So I've been lucky
Yeah.
in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Question from Sean. Do you put locks on every bedroom door?
I put the Sifely locks on every door. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're coated locks. They're great because they're 79 bucks. I did it. So when I went down there and lived there for a year, I bought one of everything and then tested everything out and just played with all these different things. I use the Sensi Sensi therm. By the way, on my YouTube channel, I have all this stuff.
Perfect. What is
All
the
the
YouTube
links.
channel?
REIJARROD
Perfect.
Jared. Actually, the QR code's right there in the background of my
Oh,
screen
there you
here.
go. Look at that.
Yeah, and then here, if I duck down, there's my YouTube name, REI Jared.
There you go.
My head blocks the thing.
There you go.
But yeah, I tested them out. Like great, price. The ROI for price versus, some of those things are like 300 bucks a pop, and they don't really give you anything else. Whereas the Sifely locks are great, man. They last about a year. The batteries or so. Even the front door that gets used the most, and you have a gateway that's $29, and you can remote into that gateway and control all the locks. Now, if you
Nice.
ever lose internet or lose the gateway, well, I mean, if you lose the gateway, which has happened to me once, you can still control the locks, but there's like things that suck. I use a 4-digit code. By default, if you lose the gateway, you have to use an 8-digit code, and you can't.
Mm,
So there's ways. They've thought of a lot there, and I've given them a lot of feedback. I'm an IT
mm,
guy, so I'm like, hey, this and this and this and this and this. So some of them
nice.
they've implemented, which is great. But
Cool.
I think it's a really good lock because it has 5 different ways you can control it. Like for me, I have my thumbprint on all the locks. So when I physically go there, heaven forbid, I type in 4 codes in the lock button. But you have, the digital code. You have a physical key, which I don't hand out. You have a key fob, which I also don't hand out. The digital code for the guest, the thumbprint, and there's one other that e-key, which I don't use. It's kind of cool. You can use your phone to do it, but I
Mm,
don't do that either. So I just stick with the code, simple.
yeah. Like it. Like
Because
it.
otherwise, the members will lose the key or the key fob and all that. And
Yeah.
you know,
Gotcha. Gotcha. Troy asked Jared, what disqualifies a member for you? Since you're pretty close to 50%, what are the red flags? What's a no-go for Jared?
the question I ask here, actually, let me bring it up. Well, the main questions I ask are, well, first of all, I do my spiel, which 10% of the people leave right there. They're like, okay, this isn't for me. So I ask them, hey, if co-living is something you have to enable, right? It doesn't just work by default. So you
Mhm.
have to get along with people. So I said, co-living is something you have to enable. Can you enable it? Here's what are you clean? Do you clean up after yourself? Let me bring it up because I think this is important. I'm kind of having when you get
Okay.
on like a camera, you kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, for
You
me, I
feel like
kind
you're on the
of,
spot. I gotcha.
I'm on
Okay.
the spot. Yeah. Pad split house. Here we go. Come on. No. This is dead air. That's not good.
You're all good. The family loves you. You're good. It's
The
our
family
family.
loves you. Okay, well, I don't have it right now. I think I accidentally blanked it out last time. That sucks. Oh, that's for Gilbert. But basically, you have to enable it. So I ask them questions like, I don't ask, do you smoke? I say, when you smoke, where do you smoke at? And then they say, oh, well, I don't smoke. Great. That because if you say, do you smoke? They're going to say no, or
Yeah.
sometimes they'll say, yeah. And you have to qualify vaping too, because vaping
Okay.
is the people that vape don't say they smoke.
Right.
So you got to ask that question, and I have to say nowhere on the property because some people will go right outside the front door, and then the smoke
Right.
comes in, that kind of thing. So those are questions I ask, and you clean up after yourself and all that. But it's if somebody asks you the same question 8 times, or sorry, that's like no guests, like no guests, because that's a big one, no guests, right? So
Mhm.
now the occasional someone helping them move and all that, that's fine, but no like long term or
Yep.
even
No
overnight, all of
girlfriends,
that.
boyfriends. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that can get out of hand real fast. But if they say so, no guests, no guests, they ask a lot of questions in one particular area. That's pretty much a red flag, right? So for me, anyway. So
Yep. I like it. Well, we got our first hand raised. I love it. This is what we're supposed to do here. Ollie, go for it.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
yeah,
We can. Thank you. Oh, there
Awesome,
you go.
awesome. Thank you, Jared, for the information. I found your YouTube channel from a post that you have in the school community, and I've been binge watching like pretty much every video on your YouTube channel. Uh,
awesome, thank you.
I'm here with my son, Yosef. He's 18 years old. He's really interested in real estate investing also.
Nice. Nice to meet you guys.
And I have actually one. I have a flip. It's a really large house in Detroit. We're nearing the completion, but I'm really hesitant to list the house right now because of the market status. It's really tough to sell, especially in the it's a luxurious
Mm.
house in that area. The area is up and coming, and Ford Hospital. It's the largest hospital in Michigan. They are having like a new development. It's a
Mhm.
$2.2 billion. So it's a really nice area. A lot of jobs, a lot of development pouring to the city. So I'm thinking about seriously considering turning that house into a co-living house. The house is 5 bedrooms right now, and it can be easily turned into 6 bedrooms. Uh, my only concern right now, like it's not on pad split, sorry, pad split. They call it like an emerging market.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
with the house that you have right now, that you're managing yourself, how do you do like the rent collection? And do you have like a specific model? Do you do it weekly and also work with the tenant on where they get paid, or you just do it like monthly? And thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. I do it monthly, and I use Turbo Tenant. So it's and I was using Turbo Tenant. You can use it for free, but I went ahead and paid the 150 or whatever it was to use their income stream and all that kind of stuff, and I use their back end for all the people and all the servicing of the debt and everything. So
Yeah. Ollie, one of the things that I would recommend, kind of tying together with Jared's opening statements, is again, I don't know Detroit at all, obviously, but sounds like an upcoming neighborhood. Sounds like you may have some well-to-do neighbors. Uh, you got to make sure you're not going to get neighbors complaining because that's where this thing goes sideways. So again, I don't know the market. You do, but that's the thing that I always get concerned about is people hear co-living, they look at the numbers. The numbers are awesome. It's a great plan B because again, you were going to flip this. Now you're going to hold it for a little while. But if the house if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? If you got a bunch of neighbors that are going to just be up your butt the whole time, it's just not worth it. So definitely word of caution, at least from what I've heard. Jared, what do you think?
I would say if you're going to do that, especially in an A or B neighborhood, which I don't recommend, but if you were, um, make sure your groundskeeper is on Johnny on the spot. Don't give anybody any excuses, and if you can somehow, like when you're vetting the members, I do this and I probably shouldn't, but I have one house that doesn't have a lot of parking. I've got 2 spots in the driveway and then 2 on the street, and it's at a dead end. So 4 is my max. So normally I say 5 or better. So the first 2 people I put in there don't have cars, and I did that on purpose. And then I've only got 4 out of 8 in there now. I've got a fifth guy coming on, so that and then the other 2 had cars, and this person has a car, so that's 3, and I'm getting up there fast. So I don't. But there's a bus stop right down the road. That's also the other thing I look at when I'm looking at houses. It's a tough in the Phoenix Metro, at least where I'm looking. It's a tough buy box. It really is. Like the agents hate me. My agent's like, man. But I have a buy box, and it's very specific. Like I said, 2,000 square feet or better. No HOA, no pool. I talked to my lawyer and he said the number 2 case he gets is a pool incidents
Yep.
and all that stuff. And I didn't want to deal with the maintenance and all that. So I just said no pools for me. I'm sure, I don't know if Detroit has pools, but yeah, you got to make sure the grounds are well kept. Don't give the neighbors any excuse to come after you. That's the high level, right?
Yeah. Again, and for most areas, I got to imagine if it's not the grounds, it's parking, right? Why is this car
Yeah.
always in my side? And
Which is why the
don't.
non-HOA is kind of important. Some of those HOAs have very strict rules.
Yeah.
There was one house I really liked, and I was even thinking about doing something stupid and buying an HOA, but they had some kind of weird rule where you had to park your car in the garage. Like you
Oh,
couldn't park.
wow.
I was like,
You
ah,
can't
that's not
park in
gonna
the.
work.
That's not
Yeah,
gonna
that's not gonna work at all. So
work.
yeah.
There you go. Got another question from Cece. Do you allow personal heaters, ACs in the room since you are locking the temperatures on the thermostat? Do you let people bring in their own little
Well,
space heaters and whatnot?
I locked the thermostat, but I put it from 72 to 80, and then I've got most of the houses. It's Arizona, right? So it's hot. So the 72, and that's the other thing that brings me above my competitors. Is a lot of competitors are around 76.
Oh
So I let
wow.
them run it down to 72, right? So I have solar on 3 of the 4 houses, so that helps. And 2 of them I bought. Just got lucky, man. 2 of the solar systems that are on the houses were pre 2018, where they had the 1-to-1. So
Ah,
my power bill, and I've got both those houses are all electric. It's awesome. So the power bill is about $20 a month at most, which is not
wow.
normal. I
In
got one
Arizona, it's
that's
crazy. Wow.
yeah, and it's because it's the 1-to-1. There's 65 kilowatt solar arrays on both the houses,
Mhm.
and so hey man,
Yeah.
I'm squeezing every dime. I'm new. I don't have extra money to be throwing around, so I was looking for that and I found it. So plus with the
Nice.
property and all that's hard to find, but yeah, that's good because I got one house in the summer. It's over $600 a month for power. There's no solar on that one, so that one hurts.
Yeah. There you go. You already talked about no guests. I'm curious, do you allow pets?
No, well, legally, I can't I
Well, we're
can't
not going to talk
say
about service animals. Service animals are in a protected class or whatever that's
right,
called.
right,
But your
but
cat, your dog, no.
yeah, no, but I do have people in the houses that are allergic, and so therefore
Yeah.
I can't have pets,
Yeah.
right? So that's what I tell people.
Yeah. Uh, Angela says Jared's amazing, super helpful. Used pad split earlier, so you got a fan.
Oh, thanks,
Thank you.
Angela. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Um,
Patslet's not too happy with me. They're not happy at all.
do you since we're talking about them, do you think you're basically running this trial on the 4th? You're assuming you get the kinks worked out. I'm guessing you're going to take the other 3 off pad split. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I've got one that runs out in 2 months. So January of next year it runs out. So I'm assuming I get this done. It's slow going though, guys. Like if you're doing the on your own without pad split, I actually, if you're starting out, I think it's a good idea to maybe run pad split. But here's the thing you have to know. They're going to take the first 10 days of every new member. And so if you're trying with pad split, let's say you have a 6-bedroom house, right? 6 people will come in, they'll get it full pretty quick, within a month or so, which is great, but they're not long-term commitments, which is also fine. But then out of those 6, you'll probably have 60 to 70% of those people that move on. You'll get 1 or 2 that'll stay longer term, which is good. So you're going to have that turnover, right? Until you get to like say the 4 or 5 month mark, you might start getting people that stay longer, and that's great. So you'll build your clientele, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But every time you get that new member, you're going to take that 10-day hit. And I'm telling you, man, it's brutal. So you're taking 100% of the first 10 days, you don't get. The pad split
Wow.
keeps it all. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's rough.
Ouch. Troy asks, what have you heard from other operators that have consistently created problems with neighbors that would make rent by room a challenge? What are other war stories you've heard? I'm sure you've heard a lot.
Yeah, I've had, but most of them, honestly, it's because they've done something that I wouldn't do. Like have an open house to show all your neighbors what you're doing. I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? It's not my thing. And then cuss out the next door neighbor. Wouldn't do that.
Don't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and then go to court, and spend just not something I would do. So just I think be logical, really, and keep the house like the grounds. I have 2 landscapers just in case, one's not available because I want them clean. I don't want to give any excuse to the neighbors. And then I've met 3 of the 4 houses. Let's see, is that true? No, actually, I think all of the one house is I haven't met any of the neighbors really. So 3 of the 4 houses I've met the neighbors and they have my cell phone. They've had it for 2 years and I have theirs, right? And if there's anything like, I don't want to announce what I'm doing, but
Right.
I talked to the neighbors, and in one case, Scott, the first house I bought, he's awesome, man. He's this great big tall retired. Well, he's kind of retired. He sort of works for fun, I guess. But he comes, he says, "Come here, man." I was like, "What?" And he goes in his backyard. Now this is a big tall guy, and I'm like, "Oh man, this is weird," when I first met him. And he comes in the backyard, right? And I go back there and I turn, and he goes, "Turn around." I'm like, "Okay." And I'm looking out. I turn around, and I look, and on top of the house I just bought, there's two old swamp coolers. And there's a new AC unit, but there's two old swamp coolers. And he said, "Tell you what, man, you take those two swamp coolers down, you can do whatever the hell you want." Because there's a mountain range behind my house from his view, and he entertains a lot. And he's an older guy. And his backyard is beautiful, pool and all this stuff. And so his guests and him, they sit there in these chairs and they look up and they see the view in these two nasty, rusty swamp coolers. So that day, man, I went and got my Sawzall and everything. Actually, called a couple contractors and they wanted to charge me a ridiculous amount of money. So I was like, screw that. Bought a ladder Sawzall, went up there, cut them down, put them off, and cleaned them up. And he's happy as hell. And also, as long as my groundskeepers don't mess up his lawn, this guy's big on his lawn, man. I make sure my landscaper knows not to screw this guy's lawn up, because he's got this huge lawn in Arizona, man. Like, he keeps it green year round. I'm like, dude, this guy's spending a fortune on water. Just find out what your neighbors are, be cool, right? Don't be an asshole.
There you go. There you go. Well, Ryan's got his hand up, so let's. I don't see Ryan, but maybe he'll come on.
Ryan. Oh wow.
Yeah.
He stayed in one of my houses here recently.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, man?
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to thank you, Jared. That was a really fun experience, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Ryan hung out with us for about a week in Arizona in one of the houses. So
yeah, very unplanned, unscheduled trip over there.
Yeah. He says, "Hey man, I'm stuck in Arizona. You got any plans?" Yeah, actually, I'm going to be down there next week. And we got, one or two. How many people are in there? Two at that time, something like that. So we hung out for a week. That was cool, man.
Yeah, that was great. Unfortunately, I didn't have ID, so I wasn't able to leave the state of Arizona. The planes, trains, and buses all take ID to get on. So I did have the pleasure of experiencing one of your properties, and from an REI perspective, I noticed that there's not a lot of common area in there.
Yeah.
Compared to like a standard single-family house that we all kind of think of, there was no living room. I saw that you converted the living room, since it doesn't pay as a living room, you converted that to a bedroom. I thought that was very smart. But what are your considerations as far as common area goes within the house?
For me, I need a kitchen and I need an eating area, right? That's about it. The rest I turn into, sorry, capitalist in me, income generating areas, which are bedrooms, right? So that's the reason for the 2,000 square foot house, right? Normally it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, or 2.5, or whatever. And I usually take so in Arizona, it depends on your market. This is kind of important. So if you have a concrete slab, it's expensive to convert, to create another bathroom, right? Like if you're in an area where you have a basement or something where plumbing's easier to do, it's not that bad. But in Arizona, everything's concrete slab for the most part. And adding a bathroom is expensive. So if you have that half bath, you can turn that half bath fairly easy. It's still a little bit into a full bath. You just got to add a shower, right? So that's, what I do there. I got to have 3 bathrooms with the 8 bedrooms, because I want to make sure people have a restroom to use whenever they want. And that works out to be pretty good. So this housing so Phoenix is a good market for me, because a lot of people there are workforce, right? So, and a lot of them are single, right? And there's a lot of people coming in there. So for me, it's a perfect market. It's the 5th largest city in the nation, I think, something like that. And so it works really well for this strategy. Now, other markets, I don't know anything about. I did check out, I think it was Texas, Florida, and North Carolina when I was looking, because I wanted landlord-friendly states for the most part, but Arizona was the place for me, and I dodged some bullets there with Florida and Texas property, all that stuff. So Arizona worked out pretty good.
There you go. There you go. Ali asked, have you ever gotten any pushback about security cameras in common areas?
I thought I would. Actually, the first house I did not do security cameras. I was against it. I'm like, this is weird. I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. And I had an older gentleman. It was actually a blessing in disguise. And I haven't had a person with a scooter since, but he had the scooter, right? And he would drive around the house, and he was a horrible driver. He tore up the walls, the doors, and every damn thing. And I'm like, dude, there's like black streaks along the wall, and his door in his room was just, a big hole from the axle thing or whatever. I'm like, hey man, and he was moving out. I was like, hey man, you're going to have to pay for that. And he goes, no, it wasn't me. What do you mean it wasn't you? You're the one over the scooter. So I called PadSplit to see, they're not going to do anything. And they said, well, what's the footage say? What's the video footage say? I'm like, well, I don't have cameras. They're like, sorry, we can't help you. So I was like, okay, right then and there, man. But there's a bonus here too. The women all the women I talk to love the cameras. They absolutely love it. Because, if you have men and women in a house, safety, that kind of thing, you never know. But the cameras I put in the kitchen, usually if I can in the back yard area, if there's like a gate or something like that. The front door, I was using the Ring cameras, but I switched up to the Wyze cameras because the Wyze cameras are cheaper, and they're also tied into the other Wyze cameras that I use, WYZE. Again, on my YouTube channel, in the descriptions, all the stuff I use. And I tested all that stuff out, and I really like them for the cost and the function and all that. But they also show straight ahead, better picture than Ring, believe it or not. And it has a camera at the bottom for packages, right? So people, packages get delivered and that sort of thing. Sure. And then I put, kitchen, the laundry room. And the reason I do the laundry room is because if people leave their laundry in there, I need to know who's done it, right? I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I also don't want people leaving laundry in there to impact other people. And it's happened a few times. One house I put in stacked two washers and two dryers. And as it turns out, that's kind of a waste of money, but it was a nice experiment. I'm trying to figure all this stuff out as I go. It was a cost I really didn't need to incur, but I figured I'd try it just to help mitigate it. And it's a nice to have, but you don't really need it.
Nice.
But wireless Wi-Fi is mandatory in my opinion. I have 1 gig Wi-Fi in all the houses, so that way, people are happy with that. If you're going to have 8 people in there, you need to. That's a lot. It's the tier 3, right? It's like it's up there. You don't ever want to limit that.
Good job. Good job. There's a question about how PadSplit takes some money. What happens if a guest only stays 3 to 5 days? How are they taking 10 days?
I think they would take the 3 to 5 days, and that guest would probably move on to another house or leave or whatever. So that's what I figured. You get nothing.
One advantage of PadSplit in emerging markets, we've had that a couple of times now, is they don't take the first 10 days. Okay. That sounds like a statement.
I will say one thing. If you obtain the member, if you're a PadSplit operator and you obtain the member and you have to prove it to them a lot of times, pisses me off. Then they won't take the first 10 days if you can show that you obtain the member.
Nice. How about outdoor storage? Do you have any outdoor storage or storage sheds or anything like that?
I do. I don't have the members use it. I have a guy that disappeared on me. Don't know what happened to him. He just flat out disappeared one day. And so I have his stuff in the sheds, been there for like 4 months. So I have, just luckily, I've ended up with houses that had storage. I think 3 of the 4 have storage. One's a big shop with AC and 220 and all that. And I know other real estate investor friends of mine, they're like, dude, you got to monetize. I was like, yeah, I know, man. I'll get around to that. But it's been like 2 years and I haven't got to it yet.
How do evictions work?
Good question. I don't know. I haven't done one yet. But I will say, I know this is getting recorded, or this is being recorded, but I talk to the members, and I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to get into the details there, but I talk to them face to face. So,
how many people have you asked to leave? I know there's at least one, the big
3.
burly guy.
3.
Oh, that's not bad. And you've had probably by now, have you had 100 guests?
When I talked to Pace, we were at 100 at that point, and we were a year in or something. There was a lot of turnover in the beginning.
That's not
so
bad.
I had
let's say you're at 100, 150 now. Only that's 2%. That's not bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I learned, and I don't like pain, so pain's a good teacher. So a quick learner. I vet probably a little too stringently, which is why I'm at 20 out of 24. I mean, if I just let PadSplit, and they're not happy with me either. They tell me, hey man, you're turning down way too many people. I was like, well, then send me quality people. You know what I mean? And I've met with Atticus, the CEO of PadSplit, twice now. He's probably not a fan of mine, but that's okay.
Kevin's telling you, Jared, where you're going next. So PadSplit's going to push Jared to start his own company, and he's going to call it PodSplit.
PodSplit. I love it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to run them on my own and see what happens. I like it. I know a lot of real estate investors are doing this because it's a means to an end. I actually like the people, the stories. I mean, I got one lady that bought a house. She was a nurse working 3 jobs and left to buy. I thought she was leaving because something I didn't know. She just bought a house. That was awesome.
You know what I mean? A lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And I got another lady. She paid off. If people ask me about finances, my wife begs me not to do this, but I think everybody needs to learn. Like, I didn't know. I was 49 years old. I'm 51 now. Until I we were living life, having a good time, and blah blah blah. And then one day I woke up and said, "Holy crap! Like if I lost my job, we're screwed." Right? So I started, you know
Been
what I
there.
mean?
No,
Like,
I know what that feels like. Yes.
yeah, and taxes was a big thing. Taxes pissed. I actually owe our state and federal government a big thank you because taxes pissed me off enough to where I started doing something about it. There's a
Yeah.
whole story there too,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I like the stories. And one lady paid off our credit card debt and everything, and it's great. I really think
Yeah.
it's doing some good.
I think co-living is an answer for affordability. Again, I think co-living could be done right. I even see, in the future, I even say near future, next 5 years, there'll be developers that build, co-living houses
They
on
already are.
purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sam
Well,
did it.
see,
Sam
there you go.
bought a lot next to a grocery store because the parking lot was so big. Because he thought, well, there's parking there, and he did a 10 rooms
Nice.
and 10 bathrooms. And I've seen places in Phoenix actually that are 5.5s where they have the layout. It's really small and the rooms are tiny, but they all have their own bathroom. So
Nice. Nice. Yeah, again, this is going to be an answer. Well, Jared, let's talk about the Vegas event. Obviously, you're going to be one of the speakers there. We appreciate you. What does the Vegas event mean to you?
I think, man, it's to me, this has all happened so fast. I can't believe you asked me to do it because I'm new. I'm a newbie, man. I started
Yeah.
in late 2023, and I didn't go live till 2024. So I'm only like 2 years into this stuff. So to me, it's a big thank you, and it's awesome. I love this community. Like I've paid thousands. I'm in all these other communities, and I spend all my time in yours, Zuber, because sorry not to blow your head up and build the
Oh no,
ego
it's
there,
it's the
but
community. It's not me.
it's
It's
the,
it's the
the people are
community.
real. That's the difference. The people are real here. Everybody's trying to help each other out and learn and grow, and it's freaking awesome, man. I don't know how you pull that off, but if you could bottle that up and sell it for other niches, there you'd be golden, man.
No, we're
Like
going to keep that secret sauce here in this family because again, it's enough work to watch this, and it's fun to watch it grow. And the Vegas event for me is the hardest thing for me in the Vegas event is the agenda because as
mm,
you might imagine, I have access to lots of people, and frankly, lots of people ask to speak there, right? So
mm,
you get good at saying no. But when I put together the agenda this year, two things were actually three things were important to me. One is I wanted to celebrate Gen Z, right? So we have Cody and um, Dylan talking opening day one and day two. I just wanted to show that even Gen Z could do this, right? We got both guys are in their mid 20s, started as teenagers. So that was important for me. So I knew I was going to do that 6 months ago. So that was important. Number two is I wanted to celebrate people in our community that are doing it, right? You, Brandon, Ryan, three school members, ORaaT, longtime ORaaT fans. I want to make sure we celebrate the community, right? So we get folks. And then, of course, I wanted to get two banger headliners to end day one and day two. So we got Pace and Jason for that. But that also means, some of our old timers like Millennial Mike and Dion and Matt and even myself, we don't have speaking spots, right? There's just so much time in the day. So, it's the agenda is the hardest part. So yeah, it's fun. So
I
anyway.
love that you did that because you got people that are pretty new to investing and real estate and all this stuff, like me and a few others. And so for me, you go to the events, right? And you see people like Jason Hartman and you like, wow, these guys are awesome, great. But how do you get there? And so there's like this
Oh,
delta, right? And so you get
of
people
course.
like me and others that are newer who, sorry, but maybe would relate a little bit, like, hey, yeah, I got that struggle, especially in a different time.
Hmm.
Then I think it adds something to it. So I like that you did that.
Yeah. And Jack asked an important question again on the agenda. Our most impactful talk last year was a gentleman named Fred. He's a pastor and mental health expert. Last year, he was the most talked about presentation. He is coming back. He's coming back. He's actually not only coming back, but we moved him from day two to day one morning because he's going to allocate, I think it was 2 hours on day two to have one-on-one conversations. Right. So again, a little extra nuance for folks because sometimes people around mental health they don't feel comfortable asking questions in public. But he is such a go giver. Fred himself's gonna go get a private room and hopefully talk to six people if they want to talk privately. So yeah, Fred's coming. Um, and also my doctor's number two was physical health. So Dr. Jeff's coming back too. So yeah, this it's the agenda was so hard this year. It's so many options.
I've lost
Um,
20 pounds.
nice. Yeah, see, again, we got a lot of people dropping weight. That's fun. So, let's talk about school a little bit. Obviously, we're playing this in school, so everybody here's a school member. But I will put this on YouTube, to sell more school, no kidding, and hopefully sell some Vegas tickets. But why is the school community You actually run one of our accountability groups, so talk about that.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, we. So I know that most of the accountability groups are very, structured and driven and all that. Me, man. I'm a wing it kind of guy. I've just always
for
been
me.
that way. I'll figure it out as I go, kind of thing. And so no surprise, the Sunday at 12:30, which is today, by the way, is
Yeah.
kind of a wing it. Everything goes real estate related. We all talk about it. But the school community for me, everybody in there is real. I'm in a bunch of communities like other
Yeah.
communities. I won't say
Yeah.
names, but there's a lot of fluff and a lot of people that talk, and most of the people that are in the school are actually doing stuff and have real world knowledge, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
at least even if they don't, they're in a role that lets them see operators that are doing things and like that. So there's a lot of good information in there. So, and I just like that people are real. And yes, we do have a lot of fun and give each other some bad times. Like Mark right now, his background is a helicopter, and one of the guys that's in the meeting, his wife's bugging him to get a helicopter, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of fun. We
I
don't
love the
step on
backstory.
toes, but we have a lot of fun
No,
there.
no, we have fun. I called it the other day. Actually, tell me this. I refer to our Vegas event as a family reunion. Is that
Yeah.
stretching it at all?
No, because what's funny is the first year I didn't know that people were going out, right? And I thought the Ryan Pineda thing was a cost event. I heard about
Yeah.
it, but I was like, oh, that's probably cost money. I didn't know it was free. If I'd have known that, I'd have gone because
Yeah.
I'm a I'm pinching every penny for real estate. You know what I mean? Like my
Yep.
W-2, every dime goes to real estate. My real estate now pays for my living expenses, so it's great.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so my W-2 is strictly for real estate. um, but yeah, so and we like Mark, we all went out as a group. The after hours things are fun too, because then that's when you learn all kinds of stuff that you probably don't say in a forum right there. There's some good stuff in there, and some not
Nice.
real estate related stuff too. So
Yeah. Well, the good thing is we've done a really good job of making sure everybody's a go-giver. The one thing I can say about our school community is everybody's going the same direction. We're at different places and at different paces, but we're all going the same direction. And there's just something good about that.
yeah.
That's what it feels like to me.
The main thing is people are doing it. So that, other communities, I'm in other communities where people have been in there for 3, 4, 5 years and still
Just
haven't done
talk,
anything.
blah, blah,
Just,
blah. Yeah.
they like the community or whatever social outlet, I guess. But like my first event with you, I learned about you through Dion, believe it or not.
Mhm.
And I went there and I think I was either buying or had my first property. Yeah, yeah. I was only operating for about a month and a half, something like that when I went to the event. And it's cool to see when you check in with people, even if you don't meet on the meetups and all that, to see where they're at. And everybody's incrementally moved higher, right? So
I
it's
love
kind of
it.
neat
I
to
love
see
it.
the community growing and going
Yeah,
along.
it's so fun for me to watch the mission for me on day one on my couch. God, in 2018 was to create something that outlived me by 50 years, and it's 8 years later. I think it's working. So
I
it's a
think
lot
it
of fun.
will because people are taking what you've passed on and they're taking it and passing it on. So it's like this exponential thing. I feel like I owe it. That's why I started the YouTube channels because you told me to basically at the first event. It's like, hey, I think it was who's the big YouTube guy you had there?
John Cannell was at the first one.
John Cannell. Yes, I'm not a big YouTube person. I didn't know who he was to be honest, but to do this and learn some things from him. Okay, we started, and Mark
Yep.
and I are out there doing the YouTube thing, not to get monetized or whatever, just
No,
to
to help.
share the knowledge. And people are taking it and doing stuff with it, and they'll ask me questions. I get 2 or 3 calls a week, say, "What about this?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know your market, but here's what I would do." Blah blah blah, and just take learn from other people, ask more than one source. That way, you get
Yep.
more information, and then make your own decision.
Yeah. Well, everybody, hopefully you're enjoying school community. If you haven't introduced yourself on school, do that. It's like a big hug. The community's always out there welcoming new members. School.com/ORaaT, ORaaT. Jared, you're amazing. Thank you for saying yes to this and saying yes to Vegas.
Yeah,
Take
yeah.
care.
All
Have
right,
fun.
thanks.
Later.
See you.
Bye.